having me out here. I'm excited to be here today. We just started with the new project back in the fall of last year, implementing it at Gracious Home. A little bit about the company. If you're not from New York City, we are a home store that lives on the Upper East Side and Upper West Side of Manhattan. We actually have an outpost downtown in Chelsea as well. But we've been in business here in New York for about 50 years. It's a high-touch business that we're in. We sell to a very affluent consumer who expects perfection. They want it now, they want it what they want, and they don't want a lot of hassles. We have 4 locations in all in stores. We have a warehouse out in Woodside, Queens. We have a corporate office here in Manhattan as well. So we are a New York City-based company, and we are focused on service and convenience for our customers. Met with Kenny and his team, and they really were able to demonstrate to us that they had what it takes to really put us where we needed to be on there. We basically launched our new website just last month. We've been building for quite a while as an entree to put the business out on the national and international. We've had something before, but we built something that was going to be planned to be bringing in a significant amount of new business to us, and we wanted to make sure we had the communications and network infrastructure to properly support that. Our original phone infrastructure was built over many, many years, and we were an Avaya partner for a long time, but we go back to having some legends out there. We had a Definity ProLogix out there. We actually toyed a bit with Communication Manager in one of our locations way back when. So we were kind of a mix of different things that really was not connected. And we had point-to-point dialing, but it was really put together in a way that was, I guess, 10 years old. Our network was a series of point-to-point T1s to connect our locations together in a hub and spoke to our main location. We're running on an IBM I series, our point of sale, and our ERP system. So we needed to have that connectivity across that, as well as we used some of the channels for voice. But we were basically working on a channelized operation. We had DSL backup that would support keeping up our point of sale operations in case of failover, but didn't really support the voice part of it. We had gear everywhere, stuck in closets. We had wires that were kind of run for 50 years, from coax to up to Cat 6, depending upon what was put in when. It's a kind of a mess, and I'll give you a little picture of that as well. But running unmanaged switches that, again, were put in over time, or managed, unmanaged, some things from Cisco, but 3Com, Netgear, we had a whole batch of everything out there. Let a little bit of wireless out in the warehouse, but really very little because of security issues out there. So this is kind of what we were dealing with when we started. So this will give you some idea of what we started with out in some of the stores in terms of 30 years of cabling that was just put out there in all the closets. So we kind of had a nice mess on our hands to clean up. We really started this project and say, what do we need to put in place? What's important to us here? And we identified that we needed to have the reliability to keep our business up and running. We're 7-day-a-week store operation, as Kenny mentioned. We wanted to have flexibility because we're moving departments around and people around on a continuous basis. So someone may be in this area today, they're going someplace else next week. And we wanted to be able to support being able to do that. We planned this to be a 60-month investment. So we wanted to make sure that as the business grew, we would be able to scale it up as we grew as well. As a retailer, we deal with a lot of credit card transactions, so we have to comply with PCI standards on security, data security. And because of our network being one network on one back-end system, we needed to be able to make sure that our customer data and our credit card data was segregated and secured. We wanted to keep it simple so that we could manage it with the staff that we have, which is not really a very big staff. I actually have 2 guys who run around and pretty much handle all the day-to-day things that need to be taken care of. And we wanted to keep it economical because of the fact that we're in retail, there's not a lot of margin in retail. So every decision has to be backed up with use cases, and every decision has to be backed up with what kind of an ROI can we get out of it. So it was very important that we were able to demonstrate that to the team. The business wanted a lot of different things. They wanted to be able to take more phone calls from customers by phone, transfer them more easily to the right person so that we're not doing multiple transfers or putting people on hold or missing calls. We wanted to make sure that our web customers who were calling in and whenever they were going to call in could directly get into a queue for our customer service team without having to go through the operator. We wanted to make sure that our phone operators, we'd like to take our calls personally during the day and answer our calls live during the day, but we wanted to make sure that we could put our operators wherever they wanted to be, so we weren't locked into one time schedule. We wanted to be able to hand devices to our sales staff or allow them to work with things and be able to establish presence on who is available, what type of availability was out there. And we wanted to make sure that the new network we were putting in place was going to be scalable and able to grow to support all the different technologies that are coming into play and will be coming into play as we move forward. And also on point of sale, everybody's looking at wireless point of sale now. We wanted to make sure we could take the point of sale wireless. We have a gift registry. We wanted to make sure that could go wireless. So those are all key things that we wanted to be able to support and put in place. From a technology standpoint, we had a lot of things that we wanted as well. You know, we wanted to keep it simple, again, so we could manage it without putting a lot of people in place. We wanted to make sure that everybody could dial anywhere that they could, which we had before. We wanted to make sure we maintain that. What we didn't have before was a centralized system, so we had to make changes. You had to set them up individually in every location. So we wanted to make sure what we set up, we were able to put in place in one place and basically be able to have it everywhere and have that information. A phone directory that basically had everybody in it and not coming from HR department on a once-a-month basis. We wanted to make sure that we had mobility on wireless. We basically used hunt groups and wanted to be able to set up hunt groups to be able to route calls to departments and allow multiple people to pick up. You know, while we have 4 stores out there, we run almost 100 point-of-sale terminals. So there's a lot of places where people can be and operating it. So we wanted to make sure that if I'm in one area of the department and a call's coming in, somebody can pick it up without having to run over to that phone. And if someone's on a call at one extension, that's the main extension, and a call comes in, it's not going to be just a little flashing light, but someone else will be able to address it. So we wanted to have that capability. We wanted secure wireless so that we could add those wireless capabilities as we went forward. And we wanted to make sure that we had backup in place for everything. So the selection process we took was not a slam dunk to go to Avaya. We did evaluate other models out there. We looked at other technologies. And I think what we came out with as we looked at it, you know, we looked at the SaaS model and felt that for a retail environment that wasn't really something that made sense for us. On the hardware side, we felt we dealt with vendors that were able to support one part of the communication process, but not the networking side, or where they were able to do it, they were really network-centric and not communication-centric and customer-centric. And I think we found in talking with the Avaya team at the Solution Center and the CTI folks that there was a magic there in that in the IP office, that we were able to leverage great functionality that was only available in Communication Manager not too far back, but was now available in this more robust version of IP Office at an economical range. So we also looked at other business partners and decided that CTI, based on in their New York presence and the team and the expertise that they had in place, was the right group to go with. They really wanted to take the time to understand our environment. Our sales engineer, Joe Ben David, came in. He basically went to all the locations. He understood exactly what we're looking at from a network standpoint. He understood what we needed from a communication standpoint and really looked at the full solution and proposed it back to us. You know, by the time we were ready to go, Joe knew more about my infrastructure than I knew about it. He was telling me things about what I needed and why I needed them and what I didn't need. So it was really a great pleasure to work with Joe on that. And when the team came into place to actually do the implementation, they had somebody internally there who basically could answer questions. I think Joe put together about a 40-page document for me of exactly what was out there, what we had, what we were changing, who was doing what, and it was totally extensive in terms of being able to have a roadmap of where we were going. Kenny worked out the financial arrangements. Thank you, Kenny. So we were able to make this thing work on a financial basis. And we looked at what the timing would be in terms of how we would roll it out. Once we determined that, we decided the process had to take place over 4 steps. Number one, if you don't have the carriers in place, it doesn't really matter what you're doing. We needed to go from T1s to something else that was going to be more robust. We decided to go with Verizon ELAN capability because it was relatively simple. It basically gave us the capability to do whatever we wanted over those pipes and gave us full control over what was going to be passing through there. We basically needed to upgrade our internal network, get rid of all those variety of switches. We centralized on Avaya switches, which made sense for us to put in place at the time to be able to handle what we needed to do. We then implemented the phone system once all that was in place, and then once the phone system was up and running, we went into the wireless. So we basically were able to do this over 4 steps. The carriers basically gave us the security, the resiliency, the scalability that we needed. We put in a cable backup that we could use for internet connectivity and also as a failover in case of issues with our ELAN. The internal network, we basically replaced all the components that we had out there. We had to put in the new system that was out there, and it gave us the fact that we were able to set up VLANs. We were able to segregate all the data to where it needed to be. And having everything on the voice over IP, no more channelized that we had to say this is voice and data. So it basically brought us into the 21st century. Once that was in place, Joe gave us, we have a nice pretty picture here. You get a sense of the different levels of what got connected to what got. And pretty much we basically had our full connectivity of firewalls with redundant backups in every location to handle both voice and data capabilities. We put the phone system in to handle all of our auto call direction for customer service and be able to do a basic call center setup in place. We set up our hunt groups. We were able to direct calls in there. CTI built and tested it off-site, so it was done before we put it in. Then came the installation and training on it, and we pulled it out at the end. Most importantly, again, just a quick shot at what we did on the train turn-up support. We had a roadmap that we followed straight through. Who was going to be where, when they were going to be there, how it was going to be set up and put in place, who was responsible to do it. Chris from CTI and the training team came in and lived on site with us for the full period that we did the implementation, coming in a day before, meeting with everybody, or 2 days before, meet the operators, meet with the sales staff, get everybody's voicemail set up, and basically made the process very seamless for us. Then they were on site after turn up to basically troubleshoot. So they basically followed through each step of the way to get that in place. The techs that were involved with it on the data side and on the communications and on the actual telephony side, on site, available, and setting it all up for us. It went through very well. The training was great, and I think everybody really felt that they had a good handle on what needed to be done. Then we set up the wireless, and then the wireless is really our basis for growth. What we're really looking for down there is to be able to put in the Avaya Flare. We licensed it and 1X to be able to have our salespeople mobile and working on those with those devices and being able to reach and work with their customers while they're on the selling floor and not having our operators chasing them down or trying to find them when they get a call from a customer. And why it worked. I think we had upper management support from day one, which was critical to what we were doing. My technical team did a great job of managing it and being able to understand what needed to be done and how it needed to be done and troubleshoot issues as they came up. We had a great network resource internally. We had a great Andrew from CTI was a great network resource on their end, and Joe on the design side was very closely coordinated with everyone. And the CTI team helped us do that all along the way. And we followed the plan step by step by step until we had it all done and completed, and we had the support of a great business partner. So I think those are the key steps that work for us, and we're very excited to be working with our new system, and we're excited about what we're seeing today and where we're going to be able to take it in the future. And I thank you for your time today.